Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the Concord Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, thank you for participating in our efforts to raise awareness and address the realities of period poverty. My name is Angela Bunting, co-chair for Social Action Committee, alongside my co-chair, Shantae Burke-Hare. Let's look at the definition of period poverty. Period poverty refers to the inability to afford or access menstrual products and facilities needed to manage menstruation, along with lacking education or support for menstrual health. Simply put, it means people can't get the pads and the tampons or other supplies needed, nor the safe spaces and information necessary to handle their periods with dignity. Period poverty is a widespread issue globally, affecting high-income and low-income countries alike. Though its severity often correlates with poverty levels and inadequate infrastructure, 21 states continue to charge sales tax on period products, such as pads and tampons. North Carolina continues to charge tax, but offers a $500,000 annual feminine hygiene product grant program. All North Carolina schools can apply for funding annually until the funds are fully distributed. Today's Lunch and Learn session will include a video presentation, an in-depth discussion on period poverty, followed by a Q&A segment. We will begin with our video.
Separate us. So many facets of our lives add to the illusion of other. We live in a world that's jarringly split along boundaries once thought to be imaginary, and now, guided by the idea of haves and have-nots, we turn a blind eye to issues we deem unrelatable. Period poverty has many faces and can rear its head among everyone, even people who are employed. Many members of our society are faced with the hard choice between groceries and essential menstrual products. This issue is more pervasive than we realize. Period poverty has many forms. It affects the youngest of us and the eldest. It respects no age, nationality, employment, or social status. Period poverty weaves its way so seamlessly into our everyday lives that hiding it has become second nature. It can easily be seen as a series of insufficiencies. Insufficient access to menstrual hygiene products due to financial instability or taxes on those products. Insufficient education about menstruation on the individual and societal level. Insufficient washing facilities, waste management, and even running water. People battling period poverty are forced to forego traditional feminine hygiene products in favor of less appropriate makeshift items. Toilet paper, newspaper, old rags, and even plastic bags are used during menstruation because better is simply not available. Millions of people around the world are forced to operate under its shadow. Many must live and work with the constant threat to their mental health, reproductive health, and physical hygiene looming ever present on the horizon. It is important that we realize that period poverty isn't just limited to the process of menstruation. It hampers educational performance, livelihoods, and hangs unspoken in many of our day-to-day activities. Menstruation, an already uncomfortable process, can quickly take a turn for the worse. Period poverty in all of its forms leads to an increased risk of reproductive and urinary tract infections. Aside from these physical ramifications, period poverty gives rise to financial and educational setbacks that are even worse. People affected by period poverty tend to experience a decrease in work and academic performance during menstruation. Being at work can become very uncomfortable, and some might be forced to remain at home altogether. Eradicating period poverty calls for a multifaceted attack on every contributing factor. One clear way to accomplish this goal is to make feminine hygiene products more accessible to the people who menstruate. The avenues for creating access are numerous. Eradicating the taxes on period products, doing away with the classification of period products as a luxury item, dismantling menstrual practices that discriminate against women and impede their participation in their daily lives, improving the distribution of basic needs such as clean water and housing, raising global awareness of the inadequacies pertaining to menstruation.
Greetings, everyone. I am Dr. Leah Wade. Today, I introduce to you my colleague who is a phenomenal advocate for wellness prevention and intervention. Ms. Treva D. Johnson, Mrs. Treva D. Johnson, boasts an impressive educational background that has shaped her career in meaningful ways. She began her academic journey at Claflin University, earning a degree in biology, which led her to become a science teacher for middle school students. Driven by a desire for continuous learning, she pursued a master's in counseling psychology from Capella University, where she engaged in intensive home counseling for troubled youth on a part-time basis. Her quest for knowledge continued at Walden University, where she obtained a master's in public health, aiming to integrate her diverse expertise into research programs that advocate for healthy lifestyles. Transitioning from the classroom, Treva served as a prevention specialist at Anuvia Prevention and Recovery Center, focusing on community education regarding substance abuse. She later returned to Charlotte Mecklenburg Schools as a school health specialist, collaborating with school nurses to foster a culture of wellness. Mrs. Johnson is dedicated to partnering with community organizations to explore innovative strategies that enhance the health and well-being of students, ultimately contributing to the improvement of the school, district, and community. Her leadership and commitment have earned her the respect of her peers and demonstrated her success in both professional and volunteer roles. So today I present to you Mrs. Treva Johnson, and I want to thank you in advance for sharing your expertise with our community to bring awareness to period poverty. Mrs. Treva Johnson.
Thank you, Dr. Wade, for that introduction. I appreciate it so much. I appreciate the opportunity to share this vital information about period poverty. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to have a conversation in regarding to that. So we're going to wait for the slide presentation to come up, and then we will proceed with that. All right, so we can actually go on to slide number 3 since she's already introduced me. So what I would like to do is we're going to launch this survey because I want to learn more about your understanding of period poverty. So I will be able to collect your thoughts on this important issue, and then your feedback will provide valuable insights into your awareness of the topic. So we're going to launch a survey just to see what you know so far about period poverty. And they did such a great job with the video that you may have all the answers already. So the first question says, do you think period poverty is an issue in your community or country? And so you go ahead and answer that. And you can just let me know when everybody is done. We could then launch the answers just to see and gauge where the audience is at. So we'll give it a few more minutes.
We're at about 79% with a response.
Okay. Give it 2 more seconds and we'll just go ahead and close it.
All right, I'll go ahead and share the results.
All right. All right. So do you think period poverty is an issue in our community? And we all agree that yes, definitely it is. Would this number 2 stay? Okay, good. Have you or someone you know have ever struggled to afford menstrual products? Do you have that percentage? Because I don't see it.
They are answering now.
Okay, one by one. Okay, got it. And we can close that one too. Okay, so a lot of us, it's kind of 50-50 between yes, they know someone, and then no, they don't know anyone that has struggled to afford that. Okay, and 11% yes, they have. We can do number 3.
Does everyone see the poll?
Not for 3.
Something's going on with the launch button.
That's fine. I kind of gauged where we are, and we can move on just for the sake of time, so we can move on to the next slide. I can just go ahead and go and dive into the information.
Okay. If you would like, I can read the question for you and they can put it in the chat.
Okay.
How often do you think students or workers miss school or work due to period poverty? Very often, sometimes, rarely, never, or I don't know.
I see very often coming in, sometimes rarely. So we got a range of answers on that. Got it.
Okay. I've got the launch button working again, and I will launch question number 4.
Okay. And should menstrual products be free or subsidized in schools and public facilities? A lot of people feel yes, they should be free. And then we have about 23% saying yes, they should be subsidized. And I think we have one final question for our last one. Have you ever seen or heard of initiatives that provide free menstrual products? And we can get those answers. Okay, We got about 56% saying yes in school, workplace, and community. 32% say no, never. They've never heard of any initiatives. And then yes, but only online or in the news. All right. Well, thank you for your feedback for that. That kind of gauges, gives me insight as we have this discussion. So today we will explore the significant issues of school absenteeism among girls due to menstruation, examining the various factors that contribute to this phenomenon. So we are going to kind of dive in and discover how many girls miss school due to periods and so much more. Next slide. So what trends stand out to you about the menstrual health needs of young people who menstruate? And you can put those, or put your answer in the chat that I can see that. Even though we've done a quick kind of survey, I wanted to kind of understand what trends stand out to you when it regards menstrual health and the needs of our young people who deal with this issue. And so we have someone say, I work at a high school and many of the students suffer. Being in the school district, I definitely relate to that. Parents cannot afford the products. Yes, that's an issue, especially with this economic system that we're living in right now. Irregular cycles, yes, I was one of those growing up. I see the need mostly in school-age middle school and can't afford it, the cost, and then the cost of increased products because they are getting more and more expensive. All right, and those can keep coming in. I'm gonna continue to move through the presentation. So next slide. All right, so period poverty remains a significant barrier for many schoolgirls across the globe. It hinders their ability to attend classes and engage in vital activities. These issues affect not only their education, but also their overall well-being and development. Statistics reveal that 1 in 4 teenagers and 1 in 3 menstruating adults face challenges in affording menstrual products due to financial constraints. This lack of access to necessary supplies can lead to missed school days, which ultimately impacts their academic performance and future opportunities. Addressing period poverty is crucial to ensuring that all students have the chance to pursue their education without the added stress of trying to manage their menstrual health. Next slide. And so we kind of got a definition of what period poverty is, but I'm going to expound on that. So period poverty refers to the situation where individuals who menstruate lack access to essential resources needed to manage their menstrual cycle safely and effectively. Now, this can include not only the availability of high quality menstrual products, but also the access to clean water in private spaces where our young girls can attend to their needs without the fear of embarrassment. Without these crucial elements, managing menstruation can become a significant challenge, leading to health issues, social stigma, and negative impact on daily life, including education and employment opportunities. Next slide. So some things are still happening around the world. So according to the World Book, around 500 million women and girls globally experience period poverty, which significantly impacts their daily lives and opportunities. This issue is particularly evident in educational settings where a notable trend has emerged. Many girls tend to miss school during their menstrual cycles. This connection between menstruation and school attendance underscores the challenges that young women face as inadequate access to menstrual hygiene. Products and facilities can lead to increased absenteeism, and then the stigma surrounding menstruation and the lack of support can hinder their educational progress. Next slide. So did you know that school absenteeism related to menstrual periods is a significant problem globally? Many students miss classes due to discomfort or lack of proper facilities, which can hinder their education and overall well-being. Now, we're going to take a look at different areas around the globe to determine some statistics around what they challenge, the challenges that they face. Next slide. So in Kenya, A recent study showed that they revealed that 95% of their girls who menstruate miss between 1 to 3 days of school each month due to their periods. Now that's a lot of time, especially if they have irregular cycles, because they could come on twice a month. So there could be missing 6 days of school each month, and that adds up. Next slide. In sub-Saharan Africa, around 10% of girls are unable to attend school during their menstrual periods, which can result in them missing up to 20% of their entire school year. Next slide. In India, a study showed that 100,000 girls revealed that 25% of those aged 10 to 19 miss school during their menstrual periods. This statistic translates to approximately 25,000 girls who, due to the challenges associated with menstruation, were unable to attend school. The findings highlight a crucial issue regarding menstrual health management and its impact on education, emphasizing the need for better support systems and resources. So when you look at those numbers, that is like profound, because 25,000 girls find this to be a challenge for them almost every month. Next slide. And in Nepal, a significant number of girls, specifically 33%, miss school assignments during their menstrual periods. This issue highlights the challenges many young women face in accessing education while managing their health. Now, next slide. We're going to actually see that there's a problem also here in the United States. So women facing period poverty in the United States are predominantly those from low-income households, including individuals who are homeless, college students, incarcerated women, and those who identify as transgender or non-binary. So the challenges are particularly acute for homeless women, who often lack access to essential resources due to insufficient donations and support. 54% of women in prison report that they do not receive an adequate supply of sanitary products, such as pads, each month, highlighting the urgent need for improved access to menstrual hygiene products across various vulnerable populations. This situation underscores the broader issue of period poverty, which affects the health, dignity, and well-being of many individuals in these marginalized groups. So my question is, and that's our next slide, is why do girls miss school during their periods? And we've kind of touched on this already throughout the presentation. But one is many schools lack designated private areas for students to change their period products. This can lead to discomfort and embarrassment, because we know how our teenage girls and our young girls feel about just being seen sometimes. So they have this embarrassment during their menstrual cycle, and they just feel like they just can't be at school during this time. So without a safe and private space to manage their periods, it becomes stressful for them. And so it distracts them from their focus of their education, which then they get stressed out and they don't want to come to school. They also, we see the absence of proper disposal bins for sanitary waste is another issue. Girls often find themselves in uncomfortable positions of having to carry around their used pads. Now, as adults, we don't want to do that, so we shouldn't want our children to have to do that. And so to carry that all day and then have to throw it out when they get home can be very embarrassing for them. So this not only poses a hygiene concern, but it also affects their confidence and willingness to participate in school activities. And then insufficient access to clean water in schools definitely further complicates the situation. And I know some of you are thinking, well, they have water in schools, but sometimes all the faucets don't work. Most of schools don't have hot running water. And then again, the areas are not private for the young ladies to actually use the water. So it's in a public bathroom where they don't have any privacy. So without the adequate water supply, maintaining a proper hygiene during menstruation becomes nearly impossible, which can lead to health issues and negatively impact the girls' overall well-being and academic performance. This lack of resource creates some type of barrier that hinders their educational experience and personal development. Next slide. So the lack of basic infrastructure, like I said, such as the sanitary products and private restrooms, is a significant factor contributing to girls skipping school during their menstrual cycle. It adds a social stigma surrounding periods. We already know, and some of us, when we were young and we got our period, we didn't want to share that with our friends or our family. We didn't want anyone to know because we were embarrassed. But sometimes that stigma around it being perceived as being dirty or unhygienic or impure, this kind of magnifies the problem when it's around. We talk about our menstruation and our menstrual cycle. Many girls feel embarrassment and ridicule that they may face if their school uniforms or clothes become stained, leading them to avoid attending classes altogether. Furthermore, the financial burden on families who may not be able to afford sanitary pads forces some girls to resort to using less effective and potentially unsanitary cloth rags to manage their periods. Now, this makes it very challenging for them to kind of maintain proper hygiene and then to be able to change their pads on a regular basis. So they come up with this makeshift solution while at school, leading to increased absenteeism and missed educational opportunities. Because when we think about our economy today, we have a lot of parents out there who are just trying to survive. And so what they're trying to do is put a roof over their child's head, food on the table, and then things like our sanitary pads that the girls may need may be at the bottom of the list, especially when you're trying to keep your lights on. Next slide. So research indicates that during their menstrual periods, girls often engage in less classroom activities. Their experience of lower levels of concentration, and they deal with anxiety related to their menstruation because they're thinking, well, if I'm on my cycle, then is it going to am I going to bleed through my pants, or is it going to show through my clothing? Those type of things are their concerns. The ability to manage menstrual hygiene effectively within the educational setting and the broader community is essential for empowering our girls and ensuring that they can fully participate in their learning experiences. When schools and society put menstrual health as a priority, they not only support girls in overcoming these barriers, but they also contribute to their long-term growth and success in various aspects of their lives. Next slide. So how does missing school impact a girl's growth and development? Well, we've already kind of touched on that as well. We know that the menstrual cycle can have a significant impact on their education. It leads, again, to missed school days. And if they miss school days, they're going to fall behind in their coursework. So during their period, many girls, they have physical discomfort, they have cramps or other symptoms that make it challenging to attend classes regularly. So this disruption in their education can have a long-term consequence as the missed lessons and assignments can accumulate, making it increasingly difficult for them to keep up with their curriculum. So what happens is it's a domino effect. They're missing school on several days, and then they're falling behind on their classwork. And then they started getting to this mode of they don't care. And then they get to what we're going to talk about later is that they drop out. So the impact of this can be detrimental. It can hinder their academic progress and potentially limit their future on any type of future educational goals that they may have or career opportunities. It's definitely crucial that the schools and the communities recognize that this is a challenge and that our girls are facing daily basis with their menstrual cycles and work to provide the necessary support and accommodations to ensure that their educational success and their needs are being met. Next slide. So did you know that 1 in 4 students are unable to complete schoolwork due to lack of access to their menstrual products? This is an issue and it has an impact on their education and overall well-being. More than 3 out of 5 students agree that too many of their peers are missing valuable class time because they do not have the necessary access to period products. That means they're going to school without having any type of supplies. And then when their cycle comes on, they may have to use tissue or a rag if they can find it, or they call their parents to come pick them up so they can leave early. So this becomes to be known to highlight a widespread problem that needs to be addressed. And then the issue starts to affect our lower income students and students of color, especially our Latinx students, compared to their white and middle income counterparts. There is a disparity that we need to address to underscore the importance of ensuring that there's equitable access to these basic necessities for all students, regardless of their social, economic, or racial background. So go to the next slide. So we're going to explore how do periods impact school dropout rates for girls. So the issue of girls missing school due to their periods is a concerning one, especially in developing countries. Many girls are forced to drop out of school altogether, and after they reach puberty, and as schools often lack the necessary facilities to properly manage menstrual hygiene, it's crucial that schools in various regions invest in providing adequate menstrual hygiene management resources, such as private and clean restrooms, sanitary products, and education on menstrual health. Next slide. Many girls are often unaware of what a menstrual period entails until they experience for the first time. Many girls don't even get the conversation about, or parents don't have conversations with them regarding what a menstrual period is. Sometimes they, in schools, they may talk to young girls in the 5th grade. It's probably when the earliest we may gauge our children. But some girls get their cycles 2nd grade, 3rd grade, 4th grade. So we may need to start educating at an earlier age. In certain cultures, reaching menarche is mistakenly viewed as a sign that a girl is prepared for marriage and motherhood. This is a misconception that can lead to significant societal pressures and expectations that are placed on young girls and are vulnerable from time in their lives. So it is essential to highlight that the pressing issue of period poverty, which affects them, is worldwide. The crisis sometimes demands urgent attention from all sectors of society. It's not just a school issue, but it's a community issue because it can impact not only their education, but also their health. And then it prolongs to a cycle of inequality and stigma surrounding menstruation. So addressing period poverty is crucial for empowering our girls and ensuring that they have resources and that they are supported and know that they're being supported so they can continue to thrive as young women. Next slide. So we're going to talk about some solutions that we can possibly come up with. Let's go to the next slide and look at our policy solutions. So one is to eliminate period tax. That means that we have to advocate for repeal of sales taxes on menstrual products, which disproportionately burden low-income individuals. So if you put the tax too high on the sales tax, people are not going to buy these products. Again, I was talking about how there's a burden when it comes to finances. And so again, if this menstrual product could be at the bottom of the list for some families. Mandate free products. Support policies that require schools, libraries, and public restrooms to provide free menstrual products. Increase access. Advocate for funding and resource to support menstrual product distribution programs in communities, food banks, and shelters. And then Medicaid coverage. Expand Medicaid eligibility. That means to include menstrual products, ensuring access for those who need it the most. Next slide. Now, what can the community and you as an individual do as a solution? Education awareness. Promote age-appropriate menstrual health education in schools, communities, and homes to destigmatize menstruation. Donations and supply drives. Organize product drives to collect and distribute menstrual products to those in need. And that could be done at drop off at schools, or organizations such as the Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated can do a drive, churches, anyone. You can do a drive. You and your friends can come together and do a drive and collect those products. Next, support organizations. Donate to and volunteer with organizations working to address period poverty. Find those local organizations. You can become a volunteer to help them do packing days where they pack up period products that can be shipped out to various schools and communities. And then advocacy, support policies and legislation that address period poverty at local, state, and federal levels. And then menstrual equity, advocate for policies that ensure menstrual health is universal and is recognized as a human right. Just being seen. Next slide. So looking at period products in schools by state. So in 2018, New York became the first state to mandate free period products in public and charter schools, but did so without providing state funding for the requirement. In 2023, the state expanded the requirements to include private schools. Other states have followed New York. So as of January 8th, January 8th, 2024, 25 states and Washington, D.C. have now passed legislation to help students who menstruate have free access to period products while in school. Now, overall, the legislation varies widely between states, and this can be a problem because every state is not the same. Some laws include state funding to make products available in schools for free, and some make funding available through grants that schools may apply for. In North Carolina, there is funding for period products in school, but it is not a requirement. So funding is there, but they're saying that's not mandatory that we have to give that to you. Next slide. So the Diaper Bank of North Carolina, and they do have a Charlotte branch, is addressing period poverty in the North Carolina community through their Period Power initiative. The Period Power allows existing community partners to offer period products to clients. So the Diaper Bank of North Carolina collaborated with WellCare, which is a managed healthcare system, and Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools to provide feminine hygiene products to 4 CMS schools. Now, when this partnership came, we didn't start until October 2024. So the DMBC has distributed over 53,000 period supplies since October. Now, 2 schools out of the 4 came on of March and April of 2025, and they were able to provide 9,000 period supplies during that time. So I think starting late within the school year has been very impressive. And the goal is to continue to work with these same schools and to also branch out to other schools in our district. Next slide. So here you see that we are definitely boots on the ground. So last week, I teamed up with our community partner from WellCare, and we went out to hand out summer power kits to the 4 schools that were involved in our program. And these kits were meant to help these young girls by providing them with feminine supplies over the summer. Now, of course, what we did was only a small infraction, but it did mean a lot to them that they make, especially for those girls who may not or have families that cannot financially provide any of these products over the summer. And just remember that a lot of our students depend on the schools for not only their meals, but also for these period products as well. And then slide 29. I wanted to provide you some stories from the field because it's good to go back and kind of get testimonies, not only from the staff, but also from the students that are receiving these products. So one student said, they were scared that she was on her period for the first time. And then she was reassured that when she got these items, that everything was going to be okay, that she was reassured by these items. Also, a student was very thankful for receiving the product because her cycle came on unannounced, which a lot of times they're not tracking because they're sometimes young in age, they don't know how to track, or it could be inconsistencies with their periods. And sometimes that does happen. So having those products available help them out. Next slide. We have a sixth grader that was very thankful for the pads, and she really doesn't know what she would have done without having those pads available to her. We have a staff member that says that the scholars were very thankful and grateful that these products became available, especially for parents who are unable to actually purchase them due to the lack of funds. And then the products really help them as a student become more confident during their cycle because they knew they didn't have anything to worry about when it came to running out of products. And so as a person who works within the school district and who has worked with students in the past one-on-one, it makes my heart feel good that we're trying to do just a little something to making sure that our students are feeling secured and feeling good about themselves, especially during this uncomfortable time. And then the next slide. So my ending reflection is, what would it take for our community to ensure that no one must choose between period products and other basic needs? And you can put your comments in the chat and I want to see what your response is. What do you think from what you've heard, what you've known about? What can the community do? Or what could you do to make sure that no one has to choose between this and then their basic needs? Safe place to discuss changes going on with their body. Most are talked about when it was young. Yeah, I saw that. Donate products, yes. What else can be done? Y'all can volunteer. I'm sure the North Carolina Diaper Bank, when they have these kits that they pack up, they do have volunteers that come in to help them pack up these products for families. We can provide consistent donation supply of personal items. Yes, not just only period products, but just all hygiene items that families may need. Develop a partnership or affiliate of Days of Girls who supply reusable sanitary products around the world. Yes, I love that. Create a social group, advocate with our elected officials. Yes, we've got to get this passed in legislation because there should be stipulations on the money around when it comes to such an issue like this, because as young women, we know they are going to get their menstrual cycle. This is not something they can avoid. It's just a part of life. It's a part of becoming a woman. And so it's something that we have to kind of put at the forefront, because I don't think people think that it's a basic need that is needed. And then partnerships with health departments, yes. And we can continue to educate businesses about the need for their contributions. Yes, thank you so much. So that concludes my part of the presentation. My next slide is saying, does anyone have any questions or concerns that they want to address? You can either put it in the chat, and I'm not sure if you're allowing them to come off of unmute to ask those questions, but I'm here to answer any questions. And if not, that is it for me. And I don't see any questions.
If not, and I'm checking the chat as well, just want to thank you for providing us with so much great information. At this time, we are going to turn it over to our president to close us out.
And great afternoon, and thank you all so very much for being here with us this afternoon to be a part of this powerful conversation. Period poverty is not just a health issue, it's a human rights issue, and we've heard that this afternoon during this Lunch and Learn. Thank you so much, Ms. Johnson, for being here this afternoon with us. Thank you, Dr. Wade, for your introduction. And thank you to our social action committee for seeing the need and heeding to the call. And so we really, truly do appreciate you. Your presence here this afternoon proves that change is possible when we come together. And so much of what I was going to say, it has already been said. And so as we close, we encourage you to take those next steps. You all have said all of the things that we need to do for our next steps of sharing what we've learned and supporting our local menstrual equity initiatives, advocating for policies that ensure access and dignity. And whether we're donating supplies, we're volunteering, or raising awareness, our action matters. So you've heard it, that you can get together with your friends to do, drives or donate or volunteer. It doesn't have to be through something organized through another organization. It can just be a group of your friends. So let's continue to challenge the stigma. Let's continue to uplift our voices and create a world where no one is held back by their period. Okay? Their period. Something that every woman has. And it's not anything that we can help. We cannot decide whether or not we want a period or not. Okay, so thank you again. Let's keep moving forward and moving forward together in our community and knowing what the needs are in Cabarrus County and Mecklenburg County and throughout the state of North Carolina. Let's continue to have our boots on the ground and understand how it is that we can support and how we can impact change in our community. So everyone, thank you again for being with us this afternoon. And I hope that you all have an awesome remainder of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good one.